Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to what some people have been really wanting to see for a while. And I know it's long overdue. Broken promises. You guys definitely want to smash on me because of it. But before we get into that, you have yet, well, 30 seconds more of waiting because, well, what time is it? Well, it's Amazon Coins time, right? Why? Because they're awesome. You get big discounts, and you should definitely check it out. So there's going to be a link in description, pinned comment, things like this. I wouldn't promote it if I didn't think it was awesome. So you should too, or at least take a look, pretty please. So with the Amazon Coins thing out of the way, let's jump into it. This little guy is an old ant. He's definitely like grandpa or great grandpa. He's been around for a long time. And I remember when he first came out, or I was first introduced to him, I don't remember. Um, it was like, ooh, shiny. And so you went and bought, where do you get, I'll show you where you get them. It's coincidentally, Panda time, right? So you go in here, you spend the $5, and you can get like, you do it like 20 times, and you end up getting, what are these guys? So it's a Panda chest. You open it, and then, yeah, anyway, so it's about 15 or 20 Panda chests, and you can end up putting together a Panda, yada, yada, yada. You do that enough times, right? Like 5 times, 6 times, I don't know. I think there's another place to do it. I think in VIP you might get it somewhere around here. I don't know, you have to look. Anyway, figure it out. Oh, and the VIP has a second tab where you can get some Panda fragments. Whatever. I'm just talking about where you get it. I'm not stalling. I really am going to talk about it. So Panda versus Nimble. What do I like? I'm going to say that 8-star Panda is very good and is a tie for Nimble. There are some pros, there's some cons. We can go over it. So there's no clear winner. They're a tie. There's definitely pros on the left-hand side, cons on the right-hand side. I'm going to try and go over some of the commentary for that. I don't really have good battle reports for you, right? So this is going to be commentary, anecdotal, information, some janky testing. Take with a grain of salt. If you don't like it, drop a comment and tell me how much you hate it and how much I'm wrong. But I think I'm right, so good enough for me. Let's talk about some of the pros. So if you're looking to smash on carriers, Panda has a few tools in his box in order to do it, right? It's just, they're there. I'm not going to cover that too extensively. You can open it up, you can click on it yourself, you can figure that out. One of the biggest things that I couldn't figure out of exactly like, how much is going to be the impact of this? Let's read this. When there are only shooter ants in 3 squads from the first round, increase the combat skill damage of 2 random squads by 120% for 4 rounds. Okay. So 120 sounds like a big number, but I mean, when you have Reap and he's doing like 700, 800, 900, I don't know, whatever, I'm just making up numbers. When it's that big, another 120 on it isn't really boopkis for 2 reasons. Well, 120% on top of 800 isn't terribly much, first. 2, the game has diminishing returns in terms of more damage doesn't just scale like more damage. So 900% damage isn't like truly 9 times more than 100% more damage. It's going to scale, it's going to have some diminishing returns. So unfortunately, when you stack this on top of like a Reap or a Lathe or something like that, it's not going to work as you might want it to. I'm going to cover that in a second here. So there's this. And then you come in here, let's talk about the Awakening. The Awakening is, well, he's got a dodge rate of 21%. That's not terribly bad. That's pretty legit, actually. Triggers after a successful dodge has a 25% chance to deal 100% damage to a random enemy squad. So you're basically looking at like, 1 in 16 because you're going to dodge 1 in 4, and then it's going to have a 1 in 4 chance on top of that. So 1 in 16 chance you're going to do 100% damage to a random enemy squad. Okay. I mean, you can live with that. I don't have the 20th skill unlocked, right? Triggers after a successful dodge, 25% chance to heal, but the healing ratio is only 100%. And I can tell you that is basically boopkiss. So don't really count that for being worth too terribly much. It's definitely boopkiss. I'm gonna take a look here and hopefully I can find the report that I'm looking for without looking too stupid. Right? Like, wish me luck on this. There's a guy who has an 8-star panda, and I want to show you his healing. You can see me doing lots of testing, right? I think it's this guy. Pretty sure. So, there we go. And you can see how much healing he is, well, not doing. So all of the healing in this case came from FC. So yet it's a perfect example or a bad example of how much healing isn't actually happening. Let's see if we got a different battle report where you can actually see some effect, because it's basically just trash. Okay, here we go. So in this case, he healed 4,700, but you can see, FC is healing like 16K. So it's not zero, but it's definitely not impressive. It's basically just trash. So yeah, don't count on that last awakening skill to be doing too terribly much. It's junk. But again, something is better than nothing. So awakening is meant to be like almost giving you something, kind of not giving you something. It's not actually meant to be worth a damn, unless you're talking about Parada, and in that case, awakening it is just OP. But anyway, so back to the point. Panda versus Nimble. So we've talked about Panda a little bit. We've kind of covered some of the things it does well. I'll recap that. Okay, it kills carriers, it adds damage. Now let's go over to Nimble. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack pairs very well with Wise Berserker. Those guys are absolutely connected at the hip. What does Nimble do? Right? Like, I'll just show you Wise and we'll go over to Nimble. Nimble will basically help you hit more normal attack a lot. And it has this combat speed boost in the front. So you put Nimble in the front with that combat speed boost, and you add on top of it that it's going to be adding on more normal attack damage and causing others to do basically normal attack. Those two things ends up meaning that, yeah, there's a lot more normal attack damage. I don't even know if I have a Nimble battle report handy, whatever, right? Like, you'll just have to kind of like figure that out on your own. Anyway, just kind of trust me that Nimble plus Wise Berserker is a match made in heaven. Other ants are okay, but because Wise Berserker has specifically more damage on top of normal attacks, and the normal attacks hit before the skills, things like this, it like doubles down. So those guys too are married. But Nimble by himself, or Nimble paired with most other ants, does a pretty respectable job. So again, the combat speed, if you didn't watch the other video where I talked about the 752 magic combat speed, maybe take a look at that, because combat speed says who hits first, and in this case, if you're always guaranteed to be hitting first, it's not too terribly bad thing, right? So he's kind of like a guaranteed hit first for shooters, which is not that common. So he hits first, and he boosts other people to do normal attack damage. So those are his strengths. I think that there might be a little bit of defensive stuff going on here. Let me see if I can find that skill. Yeah, so after a normal attack, front line increases their skill damage taken. I mean, yeah, anytime you increase the skill damage taken to somebody, especially 40%, is not a bad thing. Let's see here. Okay, I thought there was a little bit more of a defensive thing going on. I guess not. Yeah, anyway, so he's just basically kind of naked, but not surprising for shooters. So Panda versus Nimble. If you have to ask me to pick, I can't pick. The downside to Nimble is that he's a season ant, right? Which means that it's nearly impossible to get them. So with Panda, it's literally going to take you months, right? There's no shortcut to it. You just have to wait for that cycle to pop up. You're not going to get lucky. It's just months just of buying those little chests and opening them and just whatever, VIP. So Panda's literally going to take you months. Nimble you could probably get as a base, 1 island visit, 2 island visit, something like this. You're probably going to get them. You may not necessarily be able to star them up. If you're in a new server, it's probably less important. If you're in an old server, yeah, an unstarred Nimble is probably not the way you're going to roll. So these guys have definite upsides to both of them, definite downsides to both of them. If you ask me what's the best ant to put in front, I'm going to say none of them. They're all kind of like the best of the worst, right? Like, so these guys are the best of the worst, or just the best. I don't know, however you want to look at it. The new Barren Islands or Season 2 ants has some potential very interesting stuff that you could stick in front or support, or it basically changes up a lot of the supplement game. But anyway, Panda versus Nimble, I don't know. You guys are really going to hate me for saying that, but I think they're both great ants. They both definitely have their place in the world. I can't pick. I'm gonna probably roll with Panda for a while. You know, I mean, if you want to smash on carriers, annoy them, and basically cause havoc, run with Panda. If you have a Wise Berserker, well, use Nimble for sure. Yeah. Oh, the other thing that I didn't necessarily touch on is that Panda is very specific. So like Nimble will work best with Wise Berserker. Panda does not work very well with Reap or Lathe. So if you pair Panda with Reap or Lathe, do not expect good results. The reason being is that the 8th skill is rounds 1 through 4 impact, and it attaches onto skill damage. If he boosts somebody, but they don't actually use their skill, it's waste. Seriously. It's just like, oh my god, you have 120% on 0. So Reap and Lathe don't actually do too terribly much in the first 4 rounds. They do a little bit. It's not 0, but it's like 50% of 1. That's your chances. I mean, okay, Lathe does have a better chance of hitting, you know, but you're going to just have to trust me on this. It's not doing like what you see in other cases. Specifically, I'm really digging the combination of CF. So this combination, I'm okay with it. It's kind of groovy. Let's see here. It's not perfect, but in terms of when there's a 4-round match, Nuke's probably not the best example. Let's see about this guy. Yeah. So when you look at a 1, 2, 3, 4-round match that's finishing, you can see the impact of what Panda is doing to boost the other guys very clearly. So 4 rounds, you can see that Panda boosted CF in this case, and CF basically just cleaned up. It was basically just Panda and CF with a little bit of assistance from FC. And I think there's potentially going to be some other, you know, like 0 to 4-round things. So yeah, it's pretty consistent there. Let me see if I have something else just for you guys to look at for kicks and giggles. So in terms of, okay, we're just going to slap around the Mud Skipper, and this is a little bit better visual representation of how Panda will boost CF, because without this, CF is definitely not going to be doing that. CF would be doing something along the lines of this, right? So, I mean, this just kind of gives you an idea in terms of what it would be like without that boost. So there you go. So, I don't know. You got to make sure that you pair Panda with the right one. Nimble pairs with a lot of them, but it's maybe a little bit harder to get. I don't know. There's no perfect world. You just kind of you just got to roll with it. Whatever you get, just go for it. But I would suggest, Panda long term. Why not? So there you go. Lots of rambling in this video. Thank you for watching until the end. Feel free to subscribe, drop a comment if you have questions, Discord. Again, if you need discounts on anything, use the link in the description. I don't make direct commission on it, but Amazon coins are great, and why not? So there you go. Feel free to subscribe, turn on notifications, all that other good stuff. Until then, love you guys. Bye-bye for now.